a lot of prospects. So I'm going to run through some slides and tell you a little bit about the MLA and how the program's set up and some of the aspects that we think are interesting and important. Some of which you may know from having been on the website. So, but if you have any questions along the way, feel free to put them in the chat or to go and use the Q&A function. And if you use the Q&A function, we can then look at them as they come up. So don't worry about waiting until the end. Any question, type it in somewhere. But once we wrap up the slides, I will open up the floor and we can unmute everybody and you can ask your questions. And don't be afraid to ask those questions, because if you have it, some other people in the audience might have the same questions. That's really a great way to really move things along. So let me share my slides. And we can get rolling. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Pastore. I'm the director of the Master of Liberal Arts program here at the University of Pennsylvania. I've been the director of the program for about 17 years, and I've been at Penn for 30 years, plus or minus a month or two. And I really enjoy working with this program because I'm a PhD in art history. I'm an academic. It's great to work with liberal arts students from different ages, different backgrounds, but also really exciting to work with students who are doing very different things. So I've had a lot of fun working with this program for the years, and I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about it today. Akila Abdul Rahman from LPS Recruiting is also on this webinar with me. So if you have any questions, feel free to direct them to Akila or myself in the chat or use the Q&A function. If questions pop up that I can answer as I go, I'll do that. Otherwise, we might answer them in the order in which they were submitted at the end of the slides. Slides take 20 minutes or thereabouts. And then maybe we can open up the floor to anyone who wants to ask questions and have a little light informal discussion so you can learn what you really need to know about the Master of Liberal Arts. So welcome to Penn School of Arts and Sciences, to the Division of Liberal Professional Studies and the Master of Liberal Arts program. A couple of interesting things to remember about the MLA, as we call it, is that it's an interdisciplinary program that you create your concentration. It's like a create your own major program, but at the graduate level in the liberal arts. It's 9 course units. Each class is a course unit. Penn, we don't usually use credits the way other schools do. You can do it full-time or part-time. You can do it on campus. You can take some online classes. You can mix them in or do mostly online classes. The issue may very well be that there are more topics offered on campus in person than there are in the online course universe in terms of our roster. To do an MLA, what you do is you find a theme or a concentration that matches your specific interests academically, and you create your own individualized course of study, your MLA concentration, based on courses that help you explore those interests. And they can be from more than one discipline. It could be from 3, 4, 5, or 2 departments, and you look at that area of interest from more than one academic discipline. So that's kind of cool, because then you use different methodological lenses to ask and answer questions about your research interest, your project, your creative writing interest, or anything else that you want to explore in the MLA. And it's unique to you. So no 2 MLA students do the same course of study, even if their concentrations sound notionally the same. As you take courses in different departments in the liberal arts, which ranges from anthropology to physics, from art history to sociology, right? You learn a lot of different approaches to subject matter and to the ways to ask and answer and inquire about that subject matter, and build that concentration using these different disciplinary methods you explore in your classes. And you control that content, you hone it down into a concentration, then you develop a final written work, an MLA capstone project that you complete with the support of 2 readers that are normally faculty members or instructors that you had during the course of your Master of Liberal Arts program. There are a lot of reasons to do an MLA. Some people do it because they need a professional credential, right? A master's. Some people do it because it's an opportunity to network with faculty and peers and people that have similar interests. Some people do it because they're doing a lot of learning on their own. Book clubs, reading, research, online courses, Coursera things. But you want to do a focused course of study and build your better mousetrap in the environment of a university that has Ivy League rigor and offers a challenge the way all courses at graduate school should, and well, they certainly will at Penn. It's also really great for professional development if you're thinking about a career transition. It also can be really good just for personal and um, edification. Some people approach it kind of like as academic enrichment, and it's really just growing yourself. One of my alums said once years ago, you kind of can find a way to be a better version of yourself by getting in the classroom and asking these really interesting questions. So it's a lot of fun, but it's also a great way for you to advance yourself both personally and professionally in your career and in your life, which can be really rewarding. And you do it at Penn. So you have a powerful research institution with tons of resources, and they're all available to you, many here on campus and many remotely. So career services, you can go in and get resume help. You can do interview practice, but you can also use their online resources for internships and jobs and other things like that. The Penn Graduate Student Center is here for all graduate students, both online and on campus. The libraries, second to none. 23 libraries with tremendous collections, over 11 million volumes, but also tons of incredible online resources in terms of journals and rich text opportunities. Penn is made up of 12 schools, so that there's an amazing richness in the faculty and in the student population, all doing different things. Now, those 12 schools are the School of Arts and Sciences, original home of Penn, which has 3 divisions. College of Arts and Sciences is one, undergrads. Graduate Arts and Sciences is mostly research, master's, and PhD doctorate programs. And then Liberal and Professional Studies, our home division, which is the home really of continuing education here. It's the oldest continuing ed division in the Ivies. First place that Penn students who weren't full-time undergrads, who were students of color and women, could get degrees long before the college admitted female students or minorities. It also offers a range of really exciting, both part-time and full-time professional and liberal arts graduate programs, from the MLA to the Master's in Behavioral and Decision Sciences, all kinds of cool stuff. Faculty from the 12 schools, School of Arts and Sciences, and the 11 professional schools, which includes Penn Medicine, Penn Law, the Wharton School, vet school, you name it, create a really rich learning environment with people doing high-minded theory and practice every single day. And you get a chance to work with these faculty and these students in the classroom. Because in the MLA, it's a liberal arts program, 9 course units, but you can take 2 of your course units outside the School of Arts and Sciences, which means you can take a course in Wharton and a course in Annenberg School of Communications, and they may really influence the cross-cultural communication program that you're building for yourself, let's say, for example. In the MLA, you can challenge yourself, but also explore the liberal arts. SAS, School of Arts and Sciences, has tremendous breadth, 26 departments and 22 interdisciplinary programs. So there's a wide variety of graduate level courses in the liberal arts, both on our evening MLA roster, other evening rosters, and on the day roster of PhD to MA programs. So tons, hundreds and hundreds of graduate courses offered at Penn. Probably 400 to 500 any given term in fall and spring from the School of Arts and Sciences, and probably equally that many in the other graduate schools. Probably maybe, a lot fewer in the summer, but summer does have some rich opportunities for you to keep your program rolling if you're doing it part-time. The faculty are really expert teachers, and everything they're doing in their research is being brought right into the classroom, which is really cool. So you're on the cutting edge when you're a graduate class, which is really fun. You can learn new things, and what you find most appealing and interesting, you can chase further as you pick your courses. You develop your own MLA concentration, but there are also some certificates offered by the MLA and other graduate programs at Penn that MLA students can earn alongside their degree. So there's a certificate in urban studies, there's a certificate in creative writing, there's a certificate in gender studies and women's studies. So all kinds of cool things you can do that help you focus your energies in that unique area that's interesting to you. And at the end, you get a chance to take all this coursework, all the strategies you develop, and create an independent piece of academic research or maybe creative writing in that final MLA capstone. I've mentioned concentrations a couple times. This is a snapshot of some students who graduated, I think it was in like 2018, and the concentrations they declared. And they range from environmental studies to international relations, art, culture, and society, to behavioral decisions and design. So really cool things that students do to build their own area of study. And then what they do is we sit down as they're maybe in course 5 or 6 and say, what do you tell your aunt you're doing at Thanksgiving dinner? Or what do you describe to your friends or your kids that you're studying at Penn? Because some people have heard of an MBA in finance, right? Or an MA in English. They don't know what a liberal arts master or liberal arts might be. And you want to describe to them in your own words what you're trying to take out of this program. And that's going to be in 5 words or fewer, probably what you're going to declare as your concentration. And you're going to submit a form. I'll approve it based on reading your transcript. And then we'll upload it onto your transcript. And so you'll have a Master Liberal Arts with a major that's individualized, liberal arts. And then you'll have a concentration on your transcript that tells everybody sort of this special concentration creation of courses and ideas that you explored here at Penn. And to seal the deal, you write a final capstone, as I mentioned. And some of the recent capstones were really pretty cool. Brad Richards, who did a concentration in art, culture, and society, took courses on things like Medusa and the Power of Vision, a course on cultural heritage and conflict, and courses in like public performance art, which are really cool. His final paper, Culture for Sale, Thomas Aiken's Gross Clinic, was an interesting mashup of an art history paper with a sort of study of the art market and art as a commodity, but also a study about regionalism and sort of parochial identity in the United States. So the focus of his energies was the potential sale of Thomas Aiken's great painting, The Gross Clinic, which was painted by the wonderful American Impressionist and sort of hyper-modernistic realist at the same time, Thomas Aiken, who was the director of the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts for many years, who was one of the leading figures in the 19th century in the Philadelphia community and in the art community. He painted a number of paintings of famous practitioners of the medical arts, including Samuel Gross, who was a leading teacher of surgical practice at Thomas Jefferson University. And the painting was then given to Thomas Jefferson by the patron. It was held at the Thomas Jefferson University for about 90-something years. He's standing in a hallway. But eventually, the trustees and the administration realized they had a painting that was worth a tremendous amount of money, and they found a buyer. The buyer was one of the Walmart heiresses who was building a new museum in Oklahoma called the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. And they were estimating its value at $95 million. Thomas Jefferson realized they could turn that money, this commodity, into the funding for an entire new medical research building and decided to sell it. This created a tremendous hue and cry amongst TJU alumni, faculty, students, and the Philadelphia community. So the university agreed to allow Philadelphia 3 months to find matching funds to retain the painting in the city. And the directors of the Academy of Fine Arts and the Philadelphia Museum of Art put their heads together, found donors, and now jointly own the painting, and it rotates between the collections. So it stayed in Philadelphia. Now, Brad's paper was really cool because he looked at the fact that art has become a place to bank money, kind of like real estate. It's a commodity that is transactional, regardless of its aesthetic value. Now, its aesthetic value and import to the community may drive that price higher, as it did in this case, because Thomas Aikens is really identified with Philadelphia culture, with contemporary art, and with eds and meds, which is an important part of the Philadelphia economy. But at the same time, it also showed the transformation of art from things that maybe have different functions as didactic pieces or as pieces that inspire us based on their beauty to connect at a more regional, local level. So he looked at this parochial concept of regional identity, of what cultural heritage means, and then what artistic style means, both in that commodity realm and the larger realm of art and culture in society. So it was really a fun paper. Very happy to work with him on that. Dana Sanchura graduated a couple of years ago, and you might see her if you go look up some of the capstone forums where we have videos. Dana, I think, did it 2 years ago. You could learn a little bit more about her project from Dana herself. She did a paper looking at true crime podcasts. Her concentration was writing and culture, and she took some courses that were related to her job as a professional writer, including children's literature, writing for social media, and professional and academic writing. But she also took some courses to put that writing in context, like cultural diversity and global connections, body image, and a course on fashioning gender. Her final capstone was really fun because she got really excited in the new vehicle for communicating information that in the world of social media, the podcast. But particularly, she got really fascinated by a subgenre of the podcast, the true crime podcast. So she researched the development of true crime from true crime television and novels or nonfiction into this podcast arena. explored their history, looked at examples of that subgenre, and then embarked on a personal exploration of the true crime podcast by beginning to develop her own podcast about an unsolved murder that happened in the area. She lives in suburban Philadelphia, out on the main line to the city south and west along the train line that comes in and out of Philadelphia along the old Pennsylvania Railroad. So it was really fun because she got to explore different ways of writing, different ways of communicating, and then jump into this new world of social media and the podcast as maybe the wave of the future for sharing information with people in a different way. Lara Greco, who worked in university admissions, did a really fun project that spun out of her concentration in culture, communication, and society. Laura was really interested in doing some fun courses and courses that were professional and relevant to her in the workplace. So every term she would pick one that was fun, and then the next term pick something that was more work related. So she balanced these things by studying courses like writing and remembering and urban ethnography, and then compared them to courses like urban education and media culture and society to learn a little bit more about how to function at the highest levels of university administration. She moved from admissions. She now is actually a director of student advising at a private school in the suburbs, and also explored writing in family. And in her capstone at the end, we were done 8 courses. She was really torn. She wanted to write a white paper on university admissions, but she had begun exploring in a course called Writing and Remembering her family history. And she got really excited about the way her family history was told to the family, by the family, when they gathered for family meals, based on the recipes that they used that were drawn from the places that her grandparents came from and how they grew up in America and where their ancestors came from and what sort of meals they brought to the table. So I knew she would keep working in administration. So I said, let's do the paper you're not going to write otherwise. And that was this paper she called Eating the Family Tree, a Genealogical Investigation, which was a funky sort of like food family history come family autobiography / group memoir that talked about identity and shared experience, primarily through effectively a cookbook of her grandmother's recipes. Really, really crazy, cool, fun, both academic, sort of anthropological, and creative writing project. We have all kinds of cool courses on our evening rosters in spring, summer, and fall. We usually run 15 to 18 courses, maybe 5 or 6 online, the others on campus. And then there's all the other evening and day graduate courses that you can request permits for, both in the School of Arts and Sciences, in other LPS programs, and at the other Penn schools. Some of the courses we have for spring on our roster include Comparative Literature 5420. It's an MLA Pro seminar called Connecting the Arts to Climate Action, being taught by Simon Richter, who's a faculty member in German Comparative Literature and the new Environmental Humanities program. It's really cool. He's going to talk a lot about how films and performing arts and literature help not just tell us and teach us about changing actions like that impact the environment, like Silent Spring and some other novels and movies, but also talking about the way arts can inspire action in the modern world. Nova Suma has developed a new course for us called Writing for Young Readers, which should be really fun. It's a creative writing workshop that talks about sort of writing for everything from 6-year-olds to 16-year-olds, the sort of genre of really fun fiction that young readers consume in great amounts. That's really challenging, but also asks a lot of interesting questions. I think Doherty Sill is doing a course on global human rights, Poli-Sci 5401. It's a really wonderful course that's also connected to the Global Human Rights Certificate that a number of Penn schools collaborate and offer to graduate students. And then Chris Raberman teaching a really great course, an online course, Witchcraft and Gender in the Early Modern World. And it gets rave reviews. It's really cool to think about gender, culture, identity, and how that actually was shaped and understood with this oftentimes vilified small population that was generally seen as other to the rest of the world, the early modern world, which is really, really fascinating. People after the ML, they do all kinds of cool stuff. They go off to PhD programs, they teach, they get JDs and MBAs, and they move on in their careers with the knowledge and confidence they gain from doing the MLA. A lot of folks really don't come in necessarily thinking it's going to be professionally important for them. So like 95% of the people we surveyed at one point said it was for professional or personal enrichment. But of those students, 83% said it actually had professional implications. They got promotions, they got new jobs, they decided to go out on a limb and try and become entrepreneurs and move on to new things. One of my students did the MLA, focused on creative writing, eventually decided that gave her enough to go out there and try and jump into a startup. And she's basically chief communications officer for a tech company in Philadelphia now. And in the process, she continued doing her writing, worked on a novel, completed that novel, and it's currently being pitched in Hollywood because she and an instructor she took a course with in screenwriting turned into a screenplay, and it looks like it's got legs. So we're waiting to see how that spins out. So people do really cool stuff after the MLA. Another MLA alum recently finished a book. He translated a diary from a doctor who lived in Lithuania during the Second World War and the Holocaust, and sort of it's a memoir and analysis of the sort of killing ground that was a ghetto in the Second World War. Really quite dramatic, and we're looking forward to see that book get published, which is coming into press, I think, in February. And many alumni have really told us that regardless of what they did the degree for and how they're using it, it's reinforced their commitment to being lifelong learners. That personal growth really involves educating yourself. To get admitted, it's pretty straightforward. Online application, the link's on this slide. We can also put it in the chat later. Oops, let me go backwards. We need to get 2 academic or professional letters of reference, several essays, your resume, the $75 application fee, and all the transcripts from your post-secondary institutions, even if you just did like summer programs or non-degree work, in addition to whatever you did, your BA or BS. Application deadlines, November 1st for spring, so you missed that. April 1st, though, for summer, and July 1st for fall. And you can apply now for fall as well. It's rolling review, so as soon as you get a completed app, we review it. We check to make sure that you look like a good fit. We check in, reach out to you for an interview. We get a chance to talk, you and I, for 15, 20 minutes, maybe on Zoom or on the phone. And then the application goes for review. So the sooner it's complete, the sooner we set up an interview, the sooner you would know what your opportunities are going to look like in the program. The tuition and fees for this year, 2022-2023, are $56.54 per course unit in tuition and fees. If you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you could get financial aid, subsidized loans if you're taking 2 courses or more. If you're an international student and on a visa, you need to be full-time, which is 3 or 4 course units. Our tuition is not set by term. It's set by courses. If you take 3 courses, you pay for 3. Take 1, you pay for 1. And I think it's a great part-time option. There's very few part-time options in the Ivy League. There are a couple in LPS and other divisions here at Penn. This is cool because you can spread it out. I've had students do 1 course a term, spring, summer, fall, do it in 3 years. Average time degree is like 3.2. I've had some full-time students do it in like 12 months, 3 terms. Some have spread it out and done it over 2 years, like a fall and spring full course load, lighter course load maybe in the next fall, and capstone in the spring. You can also move between full-time and part-time. You might think you're going to start full-time, get a cool job opportunity, and back down to part-time. That's okay with us. And I've had students do it slowly that have busy lives. They do 1 course a year for 9 years. We're one of the last programs to not have a time to degree clock. So as long as you're active, we want to make this program work for you. We want our program to allow you to be flexible because we really think the most successful students are self-motivated, dynamic, lifelong learners, and they don't necessarily all want to do the degree at the same rate, the same pace, in the same way, just like you don't want to study the same things as everybody else. All right, so that's my slides. I'm going to close this and stop my share. And I'm happy to go through and see if there are any questions in the chat I can answer. And I also would say to everybody who's on, feel free to type questions in the chat or in the Q&A, or unmute yourself and fire away. And don't be afraid to ask questions. As I say in class, all questions are useful, even ones that seem really obvious. If you have a question, it means we didn't answer it already. And we also didn't think to set you up to have the answer yourself. So you're doing yourself and the group a favor in any class if you're bold and ask questions. One thing you might want to think about if you're planning for the MLA is to go online and look at the kind of courses we run, because it's always really cool. I'm going to put a link in the chat to the spring courses that we have, looking at the MLA Pro seminars, looking at the other seminars we offer. So this gives you a really good idea. So if you can go through the spring roster and maybe on the link, go back and look at fall. And if you find like 2 courses in each term that really speak to you and you're going to be part-time, the odds there'll be 1 or 2 courses on our evening roster that will speak to you are pretty high. And then take your chances to go and look in the School of Arts and Sciences department websites, click on their grad course offerings, and have some fun. Read the descriptions and do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm going to answer a couple questions that popped up in the Q&A. Dove asked if the admissions requirements or tuition are different from full-time employees at Penn. Admissions requirements are the same for everybody. Our job is to make sure that you're going to succeed in graduate coursework here at Penn. So our review of the applications, the admissions review by LPS and our MLA faculty committee is not really competitive against other students. It's competitive against our assessment about whether we think you can do the work, right? So admissions is what it is. But we try to be holistic. It has a lot to do with both your professional life and what you've done since school and how you've past proven success in academia. Tuition's different in the sense that you get billed the same, but a Penn staff member at the university is eligible for 2 course units of tuition benefit each term. Now, be advised, some of that tuition benefit will be taxable as income. So everything over $5,250 in any given year is taxable income. So if you take 1 course a term, right? The first one is almost free because it's not that much over $5,250. So you only owe us a little bit of money on the difference. The second term, you'll owe more in income. And what Penn HR will do is they'll pay money for the amount of the course. And some of that money, about 30%, will be put towards your tax bill. So you don't get slammed with a surprise the next April. And that will leave a balance due to Penn, LPS, and the School of Arts and Sciences in tuition due. So it's oftentimes something that you want to plan for and make sure you budget that in. But we could talk about that further, but you can also go on the Penn Tuition Benefits website and read a lot on the HR site about that. Is the program provide student visas for overseas students? We don't provide the visas. Any student who's admitted needs to go to their local consulate or embassy and request an interview for a visa and apply for a visa, a student visa, get the I-20. Penn, once we're admitted, usually you'll get connected with Penn International Student Scholar Services, Penn ISSS, and they will actually help you get that I-20, I believe, and support your visa interview. But for the most part, we don't provide the visas. Just units at Penn, both LPS records and admissions and Penn International Student Scholar Services are your point people with helping you get your I-20 and then your visa. Angel asked about the percentage of international students. We probably have, on any given year, the last couple of years, we've wandered around 100 current students, and about 15 of them are probably international. Say 15%, and they're all full-time, and there's usually a couple of US students that are full-time. So maybe 15 to 20% are full-time, but we're historically 85% part-time. Will the full-time students have classes together with part-time students? In MLA classes, yes. If you take a PhD course, an MA course, or a course at another Penn school, you may be in there with students from Wharton, advanced undergrads, and MA and PhD students from other programs, because we're not a cohort. So you're going to be in a mix of students from different programs in your graduate experience across the MLA, whether you're full-time or part-time. Average class size in grad classes is normally, I would say, 8 to 12. Some may be a little bit bigger in other schools. Most in the School of Arts and Sciences and the liberal arts are generally seminar-based, except for the hard science classes. And they'll be anywhere from 8 to 10, hey, maybe sometimes 12. And it'll be mostly reading really intensely and then having rich seminar discussions. Shawan asked about the page about applicants need to have independent research and writing experience. Usually what we mean about independent research and writing experience would be papers you wrote in undergrad, right? Things that you did to develop those papers and explore ideas. It won't be, we're not by meaning that you've published a book or written and had things published in academic journals. So you really should be talking about the kind of reading and scholarship that you did in your previous academic work.
Chris, could you talk a little bit about the Master of Philosophy option?
Sure. The Master of Philosophy is a degree that's more advanced than the Master of Liberal Arts. Generally, many of the students that pursue the MLA either are students who earned our MLA, wrote a capstone, but want to keep going and develop that idea into a longer thesis. And then they take 5 classes and then a 6 course unit is their thesis. We also do admit students who've completed other master's degrees, both at Penn and elsewhere, as long as they prove that they have an interdisciplinary background and they have a good idea for a thesis and a sense of some of the faculty members and courses they'd like to take at Penn, knowing they may change once they're here. So we have had students come to us that did an MA in English somewhere else, and they want to do more so that they say they did an undergrad degree in history and an MA in English, they might apply and do the MPhil. If you don't have a strong background in liberal arts interdisciplinary work in your previous studies, so say you got an undergrad degree in accounting and then you got an MBA and you're working away, the MPhil might not be right for you because you don't have a long trajectory and track record of success in the liberal arts. So, but that is an option for people who've done interdisciplinary work in the liberal arts, both in their undergrad and in an earned graduate degree they've earned. So I have some folks in the MPhil who are faculty members at universities who have a PhD and they want to study a different subject area, that sort of thing. So the MPhil is an interesting option for some people. It's 6 course units as opposed to 9, but just because it's shorter doesn't mean it's the better option. If you really want to sink your teeth into a subject, the MLA might give you a little bit more room to experiment and explore the MPhil, even if you already have an earned master's degree. Taylor, you asked about the Cinema Studies certificate. Go on the Cinema Studies website and read more about their program, read about their faculty, read about their classes. The Cinema Studies certificate is something that the Cinema Studies program owns, but is accessible to students in the MLA program. Certificate that you can earn coterminously with a degree at Penn. So an MLA student earns their degree, and if they've done 4 courses in cinema studies or with cinema content and did a capstone in an area of film, cinema, and media studies, could be approved to earn that certificate. The certificate kind of serves almost as one of your concentration elements. So you could just have a cinema media studies certificate as your concentration, or you can earn a certificate, but then do a narrow concentration that could be on French New Wave cinema and politics or something like that. You could have a combo of a certificate and concentration. So go online, look at that stuff, and then email me. And I'll be happy to talk to you a little bit more about the kinds of things that are done. There are also some folks I think there's a couple alumni profiles in the Cinema Studies links on our certificate pages if you look at the MLA curriculum. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and you can email about anything under the sun, and I'd be happy to try and ask and answer any questions you've got. Any other questions? Cool. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about the MLA. I hope the questions I answered were helpful to you to get a better sense of what you're going to be able to do. And as I said, we're a resource for you. So you can reach out to Akila. You can reach out to me directly by email. I'd be happy to talk to you all and help you think about whether the MLA is a good fit for you. It might be, or you might just want to take a couple classes as a non-degree student, or if you reach out to me, I may be able to recommend other programs, both at Penn and other places, that could be really right up your alley. So I'm happy to help you try and figure out what's the best next step for you in your academic journey. Really enjoyed having a chance to share today. And I hope that everybody has, looks like there's one more in the Q&A. Oh, late question. I'm going to answer this question. Amy Miller, late apologies. Do any MLA students go on to receive PhDs? Yes, some do. I've had some folks get PhDs in a range of subjects, including advanced biomechanics. I have somebody that's actually finished up his PhD at Oxford and is launching a big startup in bioengineering. I've had folks do PhDs in sociology and history and literature. So all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, one more question. Any limitation for choosing courses at other colleges such as Wharton or law school? Max of 2 total out of your 9 course units outside the School of Arts and Sciences. Prereqs for other schools, that's up to the school. So if you want to take an advanced course in like quantitative economics and econ, even though it's SAS, they might want to know how much calculus you've had. If you want to take a course at Penn Law, they might want to know what previous coursework you've done. And that would usually be something you would hash out when you put in your permit request in the system. And then the department or the faculty member may reach back to you about what prereqs you need. Generally, if you want to take an advanced course, even in the School of Arts and Sciences, like in psychology, they might want to know if you took research psychology at the intro level, just so you're not jumping into the deep end of the pool without at least having your floaties on, right? So that's going to be variable. Somebody just asked if there are scholarships. We do not have any scholarships or fellowships for students in the MLA program through the MLA. There are some outside funding opportunities that people have applied for based on what they want to study, where they're coming from, what kind of student they are. I have a couple students here on scholarships that they got from outside institutions. So you would want to do that research. I think Google is your friend in that regard, for sure. But we do not have any scholarships or fellowships available for the Master of Liberal Arts. Okay. Any other questions? If you have more questions, feel free to email me. I look forward to hearing from you and help you figure out where you want to go next. Have a great day.